Arthur Schopenhauer is a German irrationalist philosopher, a prominent representative of the post-classical philosophy of the 19th century. Schopenhauer's teaching is often called pessimistic philosophy. He considered human life to be meaningless, and the existing world to be the worst possible world. According to Schopenhauer, the world is an arena strewn with coals, through which a person has to pass. The driving force of everything is the will to live, generating desires. But even if the desires are satisfied, a person is not able to experience happiness. Instead, he is waiting for satiety and boredom, and then new desires and suffering. This video contains some of the most significant quotes of the philosopher. Let's listen and think about them. The man's genuine superiority is that of mind and character. We know that a man is in general superior to all other animals, and this is also the case in his capacity for being trained. In schools, students gather information, and not always insight. There is no idea so foolish, but that it cannot be put into the heads of ignorant and incapable multitude, especially if the idea holds out some prospect of any gain or advantage. Men therefore may be called irrational, if like the lower animals, they allow themselves to be determined by the moment. Reason is the source of morality. Innocence is in its very nature stupid. The only freedom that exists is of metaphysical character. Freedom is also independent of any knowledge, because it is antecedent to it. The greatest wisdom is to make the enjoyment of the present the supreme object of life, because that is the only reality, all else being merely the play of thought. Men of great genius stand in all ages like isolated heroes, keeping up single-handed a desperation struggling against the onslaught of an army of opponents. Is not this characteristic of the miserable nature of mankind? Stupid people are generally malicious. End speech. Vulgar people take a huge delight in the faults and follies of great men. And great men are equally annoyed at being thus reminded of their kinship with them. Mankind is in itself not all inclined to award praise and reputation. It is more disposed to blame and find fault, whereby indirectly praises itself. To use many words to communicate a few thoughts is everywhere the unmistakably sign of mediocrity. The impression made by a masterpiece varies with the capacity of mind to understand it. The superiority of mind isolates a man. It is only by practicing restraint and self-denial that we can act and talk with other people. A man is wise only on condition of living in a world full of fools. Great intellectual gifts mean an activity preeminently nervous in its character, and consequently, a very high degree of susceptibility to pain in every form. Further, such gifts imply an intense temperament, larger and more vivid ideas, which is the inseparable accompaniment of great intellectual power, entail on its possessor a corresponding intensity of the emotions, making them incomparably more violent than those to which the ordinary man is prey. In the machinery of the state, the freedom of the press performs the same function as a safety valve in a machinery, because facilitates the discontent to find a voice. In comparing two great men, injustice can be done to either of them. The gather much thought into a few words stamps the man of genius. Every miserable fool who has nothing at all of which he can be proud adopts as a last resource pride in the nation to which he belongs. He is ready and happy to defend all its faults and follies tooth and nail, thus reimbursing himself for his own inferiority. Animals are instinctively afraid of the sight, or even the track of man. If you laugh a great deal, you are happy. If you cry a great deal, you are unhappy. Succession is the whole nature of time. The faculty of judgment should be left to itself, and care should be taken not to participate in its action, by incalculating prejudice, which will paralyze it forever. Man's rights are easy to define. Everyone has a right to do anything that injures no one else. Time is nothing more than that form of the principle of sufficient reason, and has no further significance. A professor looks at the genius as at a hare. It is good to eat after it was killed and dressed up. As long he is alive, it is only good to shoot at it. Man is at bottom a savage, horrible beast. We know it only in the business of taming and restraining him, which we call civilization. Hence it is that we are terrified, if now and then his nature breaks out. But it is unnecessary to wait for anarchy, in order to gain enlightenment on this subject. 100 records, old and new, produce the conviction that in his unrelenting cruelty, man is in no way inferior to the tiger and the hyena. No animal ever torments another, for the mere purpose of tormenting. But man does it. And it is this constitutes the diabolic feature in his character, which is so more worse than the merely animal. Delight in misfortune of others, which remain the worst trait of human nature. Many books are bad, and should have remained unwritten. The life of a fool is worse than death. Health overweighs all other blessings so much, that one may really say that a healthy beggar is happier than an ailing king. If a man shows by his absolutely unscrupulous and selfish behavior in small things, that a sentiment of justice is foreign to his disposition, he cannot be trusted. No bad friends, better alone than among traitors.